So welcome back to DHamDIY. In the following video, we're going to be pouring 250 square feet of concrete. Now this is a continuation of the shop build series. This is the last section of concrete that we're pouring, and after that we're going to begin framing out the bathroom. The plumbing has already been completed as well. So if you want to check that out, go ahead and check that out on the shop build series. Now, I wanted to isolate this sort of as its own individual video because it's sort of a different editing style, and it's very compressed and just easy to watch. A little choppy because it's so fast forwarded. But with that being said, you can see here, just the bare bones of me pouring the concrete. There's some different techniques being used, right? Different techniques being used, so it can be very, very helpful to some. You can see here, I just finished that first section. Now what I was doing was pouring a first section, and then I was using that like a base or a ground to put all the stuff on, and then just continuing it out, right? Similar to maybe like building a dock, right? How you would start at the beginning, use it as a floor, and then continue your on, all the way out. It's really difficult when you have a rebar in the floor and all that, and you're trying to wheel around this wheelbarrow cement mixer. Many of you are wondering, why are you using a cement mixer? Well, this is really advantageous for those of you who, let's say, can't get a concrete truck into your building, or into your, if you're building up a cabin up on a mountain, something like that. It's a lot easier to get a small trailer of some gravel or sand, mix the stuff yourself, with some Portland cement, and do it that way. And speaking of which, we're using a 1-4-5 ratio. That's going to be one part Portland cement, 4 parts sand, and then 5 parts Bridgeport, or they call it, I can't remember the name, 3/4 inch screened like granite rock, right? And very, very tough, hard rock. It's not that river stone you get in regular cement, right? Real hardy, good stuff. And we're using 1/2 inch rebar as well, 2 foot spaced, about 4 or 5 inches out from each wall and each sort of section. And in the first part of the series, I was actually putting splints wherever I would continue on with a new piece of the concrete. But I was using rebar chairs too initially, but I sort of realized that you can just use a rock. You don't need rebar chairs. A lot of people will actually not even use rebar for like a concrete slab like this, because ideally you wouldn't really be doing too much weight in there. I'm not going to be pulling any trucks in there or anything like that, or any tractors. Just going to be a wood shop, right? So that's something to keep in mind. 1/2 inch rebar, 20 foot long. That's a lot of strength and rigidity there. Not to mention, when the concrete cures next to another piece of concrete, it's actually going to be pulling on that rebar, sort of putting the whole slab under a large amount of compression. And I found that the only place I'm developing cracks thus far, and this has been a couple month procedure, it's only where we're pouring the big sections together, right, where it's a clean flat break, is where, like you can see here, the form board, that's probably going to be a place where a crack will develop. And not to say so much that the crack is going to be any problem, it's just concrete cracks, right? So this is going to be the 6th section. We've already done 120 square feet with this method, filling up concrete buckets. We'll do 1 bucket filled with the gravel, and then 1 bucket filled with 4/5 sand, and then 1/5 Portland cement. Dump the gravel in first, put a good amount of water in there, and then from there you can actually just put up to 4 buckets in this concrete mixer. So you have approximately, I would presume, close to 4 cubic feet or something along those lines, right? I think it's a 4.5 cubic foot cement mixer. So we're kind of filling it to its limit there, but you can see this method worked a lot better for getting it flat. This is going to be where the bathroom is, and so I tried out a new method of putting the form board there instead of just pouring as much as I can and then stopping. You get a much cleaner break, and it's a lot easier to maybe float it out and all that, But it becomes more difficult because then you have to, when you're done with your little section, you have to actually put the perfect amount of concrete in there. And you can see later on when I'm finishing this little section, I put a little bit too much, and I just had too much concrete. At first I didn't have enough, so I mixed a little bit too much, and then now that area is slightly higher. Of course I could have just scooped it out, but you know, hindsight's 20/20. So you know, it's one of those things. And also hope I did the plumbing right, because now we are past the point of no return. But I suppose that's gonna all prevail in time. We'll find out whether or not that plumbing holds up. Already going to the last section here. Not too bad. I mean, you know, especially if you saw earlier I had somebody to help me out. You know, that was really advantageous, just having an extra set of hands. But you can see here as well, I'm doing a lot of this alone, and it is manageable alone. This was a 780 square foot concrete slab, and we actually poured it all by ourselves, right? Helped a little bit of family, a little bit of friends, and we got it going on. It's probably somewhere between 35,000 and 50,000 pounds of concrete, you know, something along those lines. And it costed about, you know, $1,200, maybe a little bit more or less, give or take. But you know, it was a fun experience. I learned a lot about concrete, and you know, you could see here too, the slump isn't quite right and all this stuff, but we're kind of doing our own mix. This is a, you know, M 7.5 grade of concrete, something like that. More sand than would normally be allotted for the concrete mix. And sometimes it's a little too dry, sometimes it's a little too wet. That's just the fun of it. This is really simple to do, especially if you're doing a small patio, something like that. Anybody can do it. Just takes a little bit of time. Thanks for watching. We'll see you next time.